Hello, and welcome to Sarah's Baked Goods. Today we're going to be making poppy seed bagels. These are a Polish bagel, very famous in Krakow. So first what we're going to do is put all the flour in to our bowl. There we go. I guess I didn't need that extra bag. Then put our yeast inside our flour. Now this recipe doesn't have sugar. The sugar is the flour itself. So the milk we're going to just mix directly with the salt instead of mixing the milk half with the sugar and half with the salt. So we're going to put all our salt in. It uses quite a bit of salt compared to most recipes. But don't worry, it doesn't taste salty in the end. Then we're going to pour all our milk in to our salt and mix it up. There we go. Try to be careful and be clean. Okay. And since there's no sugar, you don't need to mix the sugar in first and then mix in the salt, because again, there is no sugar. Make sure you get all the milk in. Don't want to waste anything. This is a quite interesting recipe because there's a huge amount of steps that are very important, and if you mess them up, you won't get the same product as I do. So we're just going to mix these up, get it nice and forming together into a nice ball, and then we're going to knead it until it's bouncing back at the touch. There we go. Gonna hold that in there. Again, try not to use too much flour. We don't want to make this any more dense than it already is. So just knead it, knead it, knead it. Try to use as little flour as possible. That's not all the way there, so just keep going. Just keep going till you're at this stage where now nicely bounces back at me. Once you're at that stage, you're going to want to cover it and let it rest till it's double in size. There we go. Now that it's double in size, we're going to punch it down and then cut it into our portion size. This recipe is only for 6, so keep that in mind. If you want to make more, double the recipe. So what we're going to do to make sure we get the correct amount per piece, we're going to weigh it out and then divide it by 6. So that's, what is that now? 180, I believe. Yeah, 180 per piece. But make sure you weigh it out, because if you put more flour to knead it, it could be 182, 183. So just be careful when you do that. So now we're going to roll it out into long strips. And the interesting thing about these bagels is it's just like the braid we did for that egg bread, and then formed into a bagel. And what that does is it gives this beautiful texture of like a twisting motion when you eat it. It's actually very interesting when you eat it. So we're just going to cut it into 3 parts. Because this is a very dense dough, it doesn't have a lot of real liquid or anything like that. It gets really dense and hard to work with. So I can't roll it out anymore. It keeps bouncing back because there's so much gluten. So when you get to this stitch, just leave it off to the side. Just put it off to the side. Let it rest for 30 seconds. That will make it a lot easier. Or it's not 30 seconds, sorry, 30 minutes. That will make it a lot easier to roll it out later. So now that I've let it rest for a little bit, I can now roll it out into nice strips we're going to do the braid again. This time I'm going to be able to show you the braid a lot better, since last time I was kind of covering it. But it's the same exact way we did it for the egg bread. Inside out. Sorry, inside. No, sorry. Outside in, outside in, outside in, till it's all the way done. So outside in, outside in, outside in, and just continue. So you get to the end. When you get to the end, just stick them all together to make a little butt. Flip it over to make it easier so that you can just outside in instead of going underneath. There you go. And then again, make the little butt. And then, now that you've made the braid, you're going to roll it out again so that you get a nice thin bagel. If you keep it thick like that, it'll just become one bun and not a bagel. So once you put them together and form it into the bagel shape, you're going to want to roll it out just like this to make sure that it's nice and thin. And to make sure that it's still attached on the part you put them together. Just like that. Keep going, keep going. There we go. Making sure that it doesn't fall apart. Perfect. So if you can see, there's still that bit of twistedness in the bagel, and that's what gives you that beautiful texture. It's actually real interesting. So I'm going to show you one more time to make sure you understand what we're doing. So we're going to put those two, get the third one, and then we're going to do outside in, outside in. Okay. Doesn't matter which side you start with, as long as you're going outside in. Just like so. Keep going, keep going. Again, if you're not so comfortable with cutting the 3 pieces, like I showed you where I folded it 3 ways and then cut it to make sure I had 3 equal parts, just weigh it out. Since this was 180, it'd be 60 grams a piece and then rolled out. So now that we got the braid done, we're going to roll it longer, stick the ends together to make the bagel, and again, roll it out to make it sure that it's not a bun. We want it to be a bagel. Now, for these bagels, you want to refrigerate them for a minimum 4 hours after this to let them proof. Minimum. The best results will be 1 day in the fridge. So you would do this the night before, put these in the fridge, and then the next morning you could start the baking process. So I started these 4 hours later, which is the bare minimum. We're going to boil some water with dielectric malt powder. Make sure it's dielectric malt powder, because what it does is it eats away on the outside of the bun, or sorry, the bagel, which gets you the texture and the crust that you want for this bagel. So we're going to turn the heat to 375. Oh, sorry, not 375. 425. You want to cook this at super high heat. And these are taken right out of the fridge. You only want to take out as much buns as you are going to boil at a time. So I put these back in the fridge and just keep a fresh pan for my boiled bagels. Now we're just trying to basically proof them in boiling water. So we're just trying to double them in size and then put them onto our trays. And since you're boiling them in water, you get that beautiful crust from just the water itself, just like as if you egg washed it. And because there's water all over them, you can now put your poppy seeds on them and they'll stick perfectly, and you don't have to worry about that either. So make sure you flip them in the water. Don't worry about if they fall apart, because when you bake them afterwards, they're going to stick together. So this one is now fallen apart where you can see it's broken apart there. Don't worry about that. As long as you stick them together again and bake them just like that, it will stick together in the oven and still form your bagel. So we're just going to continue on with our bagels. Don't do too many at a time because you don't want to cool down the water too quickly, or it'll take even longer to do all this. So again, right after you've taken them off, you can now put your poppy seeds on because they'll stick perfectly. Don't wait, because if they dry up, your poppy seeds won't stick as nicely. And put a bunch on. And poppy seeds aren't the only thing you can use. If you like pretzel salts, that'd be fine. Sesame seeds, plain, whatever you like. So I'm going to be putting 3 bagels on a tray because I'm worried if I put more than that, they'll bake into each other because I don't know how much they're going to expand, and I just want to be safe. It's so much easier to just put 2 trays in at once than to risk it for no reason. Make sure your oven is on convection, and if it's unconventional, you might have to move the trays around mid-bake. And if you're unconventional, you're going to want to cook at 450, not 425. And these are going to be baked for 12 minutes. There we go. Put these down in there. And then we're going to take these out. They're beautiful golden color. Now, because they're bagels and they're in that awkward shape, you can't flip them over and tap them, which I'm going to show you. You won't hear it. It's just going to sound like nothing. So when you flip it over and you see that same dark brown color that you see on the top, that's how you know they're done. Okay? This is how they turned out. This was a beautiful recipe, and I think I might keep it for my bakery. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I even have my own website. Thank you, and have a nice day.